6 o'clock in the morning, just woke up and all excited to get out here and get a couple of hours in on the Torana before my day begins, I guess. And yeah, I've got a few things to do today, but always excited to get a couple of hours in on the Torana when I can. But last night I got this quarter panel into polyester spray filler. So very, very nice and thick. I can see like there's something going on with this line here. I will improve that, but you can see like sort of in the light there. That's actually one advantage to having my upgraded lighting system, which is awesome. But yeah, you can see through here, it's like it's a bit sharper here, and then it sort of dies from here to here, but there was a big low spot through there. So I think it's actually a combination of two. I think it is a touch sharp. I think I need to actually round those edges off, but I think it's also a touch low through there. So I don't think I'm gonna need any more filler, but now I'm feeling it, that it might need just a touch more, but I guess I'll just sort of play that one by ear. I think I'll start by just blocking it, and if it does turn out to need a bit more filler, I'll put some in. But yeah, like it's not perfect, obviously. Spray filler stage is yeah, still, you know, you're still getting there, but yeah, that spray filler, it's amazing. So I used exactly a kilogram. So a kilogram ends out to be like a full one of these 600 ml pots. So I guess that's probably, you can squeeze 700 ml. So yeah, 700 ml weighs a kilogram. But this is the stuff that I used, and the filling capabilities of this is incredible. So as you can see there, it's like a hybrid technology one. I don't really know what that means, hybrid, but either way, it's ultra thick. So you can't use this spray filler through a normal spray gun. You've got to use, I would say 3 mil would be ideal. So the gun I've got here, this is actually a DUR. I think I've done a review on these guns, but they were actually also previously known as the Nordson Trilogy, but they've dropped that branding, and I think the actual original is the DUR. So they're made in Germany. But either way, LVLP, so it actually works on my little compressor, so that's actually a big plus. So, you know, for home use, it's actually good. But it comes in a 2.5 mil fluid tip as well. And I do mention that it's probably a touch small. Like, it does work, but what I ended up having to do was, I'd have the pot here, and then you've got your outer case here. What I ended up having to do is like push my finger as I'm spraying, right? So I'd have the gun in one hand, and with my other hand, I would be pushing down on the bag, basically pressurizing it just to actually just spit that paint out, because it's that thick. So even with a 2.5, I still had to do that. So it's definitely doable. It actually comes out relatively fast when you do that. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you have the 2.5, you may need to do that. I actually only thought of doing that last night. So for the rest of the car, I was just forced to go like this. It would come out so slow that you'd have to spray it that slowly, you know. But yeah, just putting your fingers there and sort of over pressurizing it. You can see here, because of that, because I was spitting so much paint out, like I did actually get a little run there. But again, there was a few spots that I did know were going to need refilling, but sometimes, like the amount of hours that I spent filling that, sometimes you just get to the point and you're like, I'm done for the day, you know, and I just need to get some primer onto it. Just so that you can continue on. So, you know, I'm gonna have to put a couple of little bits of filler here and there. That's okay. The whole thing is gonna need a few coats of primer, surface that as well. But yeah, another thing that I did was I rolled up these edges on these guards, so on the quarter panel, sorry. So I tried using, one of my mates has got this guard roller which I borrowed off of him. And it wasn't strong enough. It just didn't cut the mustard. Yeah, so this is an old 70s car, obviously, and it's double skinned. So, you know, that's the kind of thing. It'd probably work on, you know, my Corolla or modern cars with the ultra thin steel, where it's just probably single panel and a thin steel. Yeah, it'd probably work fine. But on an old car like this, I just had to get my my mash hammer there. Got that big bad boy, and just bang, bang, bang. But I did need to do some relief cuts. So I just went sort of every sort of couple of inches or so. I just did some relief cuts, zap, 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 and then just bang, bang, bang. But one thing I noticed when I was doing them, like, so once you sort of folded them over, it actually pulls the panel in. So you've got to lip them over, fold them over, and then actually bash the whole panel back out. So I noticed that on these guards, I actually didn't realize how much it had pulled those guards in. If I had have, I would have bashed them out before I filled them, but it wasn't until I started putting the filler in, I'm like, oh wow, I had to put like loads of filler in, but it doesn't matter, it's all good. Yeah, same thing with this, like this is actually funny. I know it's a popular opinion like online to bag people that sort of like put lots of filler in, but you can, I know that you can. So this quarter panel here, I basically didn't really do any metal work on it, if you know what I mean. So I mean I did, but I didn't. Like I obviously cut those lower sections out. I put new I actually got a cut, so that was actually really awesome. So I managed to get, well, it was actually that whole section, I think, down here, right? I only did need to use a certain section of it. So I did do that kind of metal work, but I wasn't like, you know, hammering and dollying, and like I don't have a oxy torch. I've got this little blow torch, which is not really good. It's not going to heat the panel up enough to the point where you can like do any metal shrinking or anything like that. And I also don't have the know-how to do that, you know. So I guess the reason I was going to say that at the start, like, I think it's funny, and I really don't care. But like here, it was like tin can, like you could push in it. It was like boop, 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 boop. It was doing that, and it was still doing that while I had the first skim of filler in. I think it still did it on the second skim of filler, but by the time I got that third skim of filler, mate, the filler has made that solid. I reckon that's actually quite funny. So yeah, I gone and got rid of that tin can effect just by putting enough filler in there. Loves it, mate. But yeah, I mean, the way I say it is like what's underneath there is solid, you know what I mean? Like I've got metal back in under there. Even here, guys, like there must be, I mean, I don't know exactly, there must be like that much. It's probably, the metal's probably in there, you know, like where the end of that spanner is. So there's probably, yeah, loads and loads of filler in that panel. But what I did do is I put the fiberglass filler in first. Like I've found that the fiberglass filler just goes a lot harder. It's nearly like as tough as metal. Not quite, obviously, but like I've, even a few people in the comments have said, man, you've just proved on this job that filler can last, like thick filler can last. And I totally agree. Like there's been spots on this, like when I was, you know, in my early 20s, like I've never been a panel beater, right? When I was in my early 20s, I'd be the kind of guy to just give anything a go. And when I saw rust, I'd just be like, fiberglass it up, you know, unless it was really bad. But yeah, there was a bit on this this sill panel down here, right? I must have just caved and paved. So I would have just been, right, grinded out with a grinder, and then treated it with some kind of a rust killer. And then just, I still remember doing it. Like I was having beers back at my grandpa's place back in Rowville back in the day, and I was grinding it out. And if it wasn't for the rust coming back up, the filler itself was holding strong, if you know what I mean. And it was like fiberglass filler. It was like that thick, man. It was insane. So I guess my point is that you can have thick filler. It's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? I just actually noticed that there was a bit of cracked filler there from where I did up under there. But as I say, like there's a few little edges that I do need to go around and tidy up. But that was another thing. So yeah, there's a few, like you can see, there's still a few pinholes here and there. But like for the most of it, that spray filler's gone and filled really most of it up. Like yeah, there's a couple here and there. But I was getting to the point on this job where I thought I was going to run out of this. As it turns out, I don't think I'm actually going to anymore. Part of that reason, oh, look, I might have come really close. Part of that reason is the bonnet was actually way, way better than I'd expected. So that bonnet, I didn't even I actually didn't even strip it back to bare metal. It was just too good. It was like, there was barely any rust on it. There was no surface rust on it. There was one or two little spots which I did get stuck into and like dig out. But the rest of it, I'm like, man, it's just a waste of time. So pretty much the entire rest of the car has been back to bare metal, but the bonnet didn't need it, and it also didn't need the spray filler. So if that did need polyester spray filler, I would have needed more. But yeah, as I say, like I'm sort of down to here on this, and if I did need it, like I would be down to there. And then one of the guards, I had to use this stuff. So one of my friends, a friend of a friend actually, had a couple of cans of this. He had a restoration project which he sort of gave up on. He had to get rid of because he had a kid on the way or something. So yeah, so I got 2 of these for $400, which is a pretty damn good deal. Like generally one of them is like about $375, so 2 of them. But either way, I guess I make that point. I wanted to bring it up because it's really thin. I know I'm gonna probably piss some people off by saying this, but for me and the work that I do, maybe the quality of my filler work, or maybe just the extent of it, right? I'm going edge to edge. I need big build, right? So this stuff here, the fact that you can spray it with a 1.8 gun, that kind of says a lot for itself, you know what I mean? They recommend spraying that with a 1.8 or even a 2 mil. That kind of says a lot for itself. So the first time I stirred it up, it was like thinners, man. It's like base coat, like standard blue base coat is thicker than it, right? And I'm like, what the hell, man? I'm reading the can. I'm like, it says ultimate high build, but it doesn't actually say spray filler, right? I guess it's one of those things. I'm thinking about it. When you try to be everything, when you try to please everyone, you're not going to. But it's like all you need. So they're saying that it's like a primer surfacer, sealer, but it's not a spray filler. I wanted a spray filler out of it. Don't get me wrong, it does a good job, but I did one of the guards and I had to do it twice. Like I had to poly it twice because the build just wasn't there. So, you know, I mean, I'd happily use it, but it's just, you don't get the kind of build that I'm after with a polyester spray filler. So, yeah. If anyone here is from Melbourne and does want to buy one of these cans, let me know, because I'm not going to need it as it turns out. So, probably let one of these cans go for $200. That's what it cost me, as I said. So, you know, I got both of them for 400. So, yeah, if you're in sort of southeast Melbourne, give us a holler if you want some of that. But yeah, apart from that, guys, I think that's probably all I wanted to do. Just another quick update for you guys this morning. I'm going to get into work. I've been gas bagging here for a while, but yeah, it's just been fun, mate. It's just been heaps of fun just working on the Torana, and like, I'm kind of at the point where I'm obsessed with it, because I think I mentioned it in a previous video. Like, I feel like I've got my car back. You know, if you go back to some of those earlier vids, and I might even... Actually, no, this video is not going to get edited. It's going to go straight up raw. So in some of the future videos, what I'll do is I'll go back and show you how bad that was. But no doubt many of you do remember there were just big holes there. Like there was nothing. It was just all rust. So I guess it's like I've got my car back. Like I finished working on it, and then I'll go inside, I'll put a movie on. I'm not even watching the movie, I'm just like looking at the photos. I'm just sitting there looking, I was like, man, I got my car back, you know, it's so cool. Even little things like that, like we had to weld through here and here, and that's tidying up fine, you know. Yeah, it's just, I've got the bug, mate, and I can finally see the end in sight. Oh, that's another thing, I actually got it running yesterday too. A couple of nights ago, I stayed out here until like 10 o'clock at night or something. I threw the battery back in, and the main reason I was able to get it running is because I got the fuel tank back in, because obviously I had to take the fuel tank out when we were doing the welding on this back panel. So I don't know if I've showed you guys, but yeah, like I painted that fuel tank just silver, cleaned it all up. There's, you know, little bits of surface rust and dirt all over it, so nice fresh coat of paint. Painted those ribs or those bars too. And yeah, I was actually quite surprised. So when I started, I put some 98. I always put 98 in it. But then when I was down at, I was getting like the fuel hoses and the rubber hoses. I just thought, you know what, I may as well get some of this stuff. And I think that's actually what's made the difference. But either way, like it used to, and at the very start of this series, like it used to run fine when it was warm, but when it was cold, like it sort of cough and splutter and like you need to warm it up. But this time it's like turn it on, bang, straight away. It's like idling like perfectly straight away. And I don't know if it's that valve saver fluid. So yeah, they call it like a lead replacement stuff. So yeah, good stuff, really good stuff. Anyway, guys, I'm gas bagging on again. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Gunman out. How good's that, mate? Got my Torry back. Yeah.